Too stressed to be blessed. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a terrific amount of mandate. You get it on. Tia back in studio.
Hello.
Such a treat to see you.
Nice to see you. I dressed up in my sparkly dress and everything.
It's very aquatic.
Aquatic, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Lilo and
Stitch Blue.
Stitch back, man. Disney back. Crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, I remember going into the box office, going into the weekend last weekend, you know, the entertainment shows on like Thursday, like Tom Cruise versus Stitch, you know, and who's going to win. And it was all Mission Impossible talk. And I checked the other day and they just crushed Mission Impossible. You guys did.
It's unbelievable. I think it was like 180 million versus like 77 million or something like that. Crazy.
Poor Tom Cruise.
And it was, I mean, amazing. Like I have friends that worked on the Mission Impossible, and it's incredible the amount of work that they put into the stunts and everything. But yeah, Stitch ate Tom Cruise's lunch.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it's one thing to beat it at the box office, but more than double it is kind of crazy. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No.
I thought there was a lot of naysayers that, like, after the Seven Dwarfs, like, what's Disney doing?
Yeah. And it's live action, a beloved property. Don't touch it.
Don't take your animated stuff and make it live action. You'll screw it up. You've lost it, Disney. You're on a slide, and pow.
But I knew this was going to be something special. I mean, the director, Dean Fleischer-Camp, he directed Marcel, the shell with shoes on.
Right.
It's a little shell, stop motion, made in his house, I guess, and it brought me to tears. And I thought, if you have that heart with this great Stitch character that everybody loves already, you'd have the heart and you'd have the zany, and you got a winning combination against a paradise, Hawaii, that everybody wants to see Hawaii.
Do you get the full script? Do you get your sides? Like, what do they give you? Are you able to read the script and go, there's something here? Or they keep it secret and be like, here's your part of this script?
I only saw my part initially until I showed up the first day of work. Also because they're constantly reworking it and, you know, rewriting. So when I got on set, we have the binder with the shooting script.
So here's the numbers. Lilo and Stitch worldwide, 361.
Wow.
Mission Impossible worldwide, 204. And in America, 182 versus 64. So literally 3 times the audience. Now, I don't know, 182, I mean, that's the biggest one of the year, maybe the last 5 years, right? I mean, I don't know what's bigger than that. It's crazy.
It's the biggest Memorial Day weekend in the history of Memorial Day weekend. Is that possible?
I'm guessing, and I'm happy. I love that there's still something called a movie theater, and people are still going, and they're bringing their family, and they're having a communal experience, and I'm all for it. There's been a lot of, as soon as people get a VHR tape, it's all going to go away. And
VHR tape.
And then as soon as they get cable, it's all going to go away. And then as soon as they're streaming, it's all going to go away. I'm glad that there were inventions in our society that made us think things were going to go away, but yet we still continue to participate because we like the experience of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, as human beings, we crave community, connection, all that stuff. We become more and more disconnected. Everybody's on Zooms, work at home, and all that stuff that we went through. So coming back together when it's safe again and all that stuff. And now we can laugh and cry and bring grandma and grandpa, great grandma and grandpa, you know, and have this communal experience. It's in our DNA. This is what we hunger for.
And you got to sing in the movie as well?
Not in this one. I sang in the cartoon initially. I actually gave Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, the first directors of the animated show, the idea to do the Lilo and the Aloha Oi song in the hammock, where I'm saying goodbye to my sister. So I got to sing that Aloha Oi.
That's the song.
That's the song.
Is that number one in Tiny Bubbles, number two? Like, what are the two biggest contributions Hawaii has made musically?
No, the bubbles just got bigger.
Tiny bubbles.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's the most famous song.
Make me happy.
I met him in a karaoke bar once a long time ago. Yeah.
What about Don Ho?
Don Ho. Yep.
Well, okay.
Girls used to throw their panties on stage for Don Ho. They loved him.
People don't realize that it's a good thing if you can't be the king of Hollywood. Find your own place and be that. Have that be your little fiefdom. You know
That's
what I
why
mean?
I'm moving back to Hawaii, opening my own tiki bar.
You be the queen of Hawaii. Don Ho. Don Ho in Hollywood was a short guy who couldn't sing that good. But in Hawaii, he was the king of all Hawaiians.
Yeah.
And so he just went there and went, I'll just be adored.
Yeah, and he had his own dome that he performed in at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, 4,000 room, hotel.
Yes, that's why Mike August wants Dawson to move to Alaska and be the king of Alaska. Right. What did he name you? Didn't he give you a Don Ho Alaska name?
Something.
Yeah, we got to hit him up because you laugh, but on the other hand, you could do a lot worse than just being the most famous dude in Alaska. Out here, fair to middling country singer, fair to middling comedian, but there in Alaska, Dawson, you would rule that place.
According to Mike August, 100%. He wanted to leave me there.
You want to leave Dawson? They should take over Alaska. This will be your territory.
I'm going back to the fair to the middling comedian. I mean, does that affect you at all, how he categorized you there?
Not in my eyes, in the eyes of the business is what I'm saying. Or the king of Alaska. I bet if Don Ho just said, forget Hawaii, I'm moving to Encino. I'm starting my singing career. We would never know his name.
Yeah.
That's all. I did ask him once. He came on Loveline.
He can't. Oh my gosh, are you serious? I never knew that.
Yeah, because he had a little weird American move. Well, he had the Don Ho show.
Yeah.
And then in the late 90s, do you remember this? Remember when Pat Boone was covering Pearl Jam songs or Soundgarden songs? Remember when Pat Boone went I'm going rock and roll, weird 50s
Boone, I thought it was
guy.
Paul Anka did it.
They all there was a weird 90s renaissance of old guys
doing rock songs, Metallica,
and they'd
Pearl Jam.
show up to the K-Rock weenie roast and sit in with the Screaming Trees or something. And Don Ho came out. He was on Loveline, and I just asked him if he smoked a lot of pot. And all he did was he just went. If you ask them if they smoke a lot of pot, they just go.
They actually are probably currently high.
That's a big fat thumbs up to the pot.
Yeah.
So you're singing, you're acting. It's nice. I mean, you have to make.
I entertain.
You entertain, but a nice. I don't know if you want to call it a renaissance, a transition. Here's what I'm saying. Jerry Seinfeld never had to make a transition. He was just a comedian in the 80s, and now he's a comedian. Okay.
Guys have it easier,
right.
though. Women have a hard time.
You got to go from beautiful young ingenue.
Sexy, all that stuff.
You've got to make a transformation into a new character that Hollywood, not a character, but you have to find your place in the business that wasn't where you started.
And sometimes there's a fallow period because you're too young, too old to play the hot ingenue, and too old to play too old to play the ingenue, and too young to play the moms or grandmoms.
Right.
I want to be Helen Mirren. I want to continue now. I go through the strong businesswoman or the cop or the whatever.
Yeah,
prosecutor.
So what's it like for you? I mean, I know you're doing a lot of performing and singing and nominated for Grammys. Did you win a Grammy?
I won a couple.
Won a couple Grammys. And Lilo and Stitch is great because it's so big. But
huge.
Are you
huge
going out on auditions? Do you have to audition?
Of course. All the stuff you really want. It's still the same hustle. I would say it's 41 years later, it's still the same hustle. If you want the projects that you really want, you got to go and lobby for, and you have to audition for, because there's everybody else wants to have them. But the ones that they get offered to me. So it's a combination of the two.
Right. So it's a little catch-22-y, right?
Well, you have to have great discipline, because somebody's throwing money at you to do this project doesn't mean you should be doing the project. And sometimes the one you say no to is more important than the ones you say yes to.
Now, so will you get the breakdowns and you'll go, this director's directing this, and you go, oh, wow, that sounds cool, and there's parts in it. and then you sort of, campaign a little bit for those roles?
Breakdown services. That's like back in the day.
I know.
Where they have like a piece of paper that says, looking for 18 to 23-year-old Asian American actors that can sing and do martial arts and whatever. So now the agents and managers get that online. You don't ever see a printed out, mimeograph paper. But actually, I just did the same thing on Instagram. I saw that John Chu, who did Wicked, is doing The Places You'll Go, which is one of my favorite books ever. I'm like, oh my gosh. He posted something like, I love this book. I need to be in this movie. And you do it on Instagram or whatever. Sometimes they see it, sometimes they don't. But I had seen him at some Oscar events, and I already put my little thing in there like, I'd love to be in this movie. I love this book.
Right. So you see what they're doing, and you go, I'd like to be a part of that. How did True Lies come about? 'Cause that's one of the great roles of all time.
It is. And somebody else was cast in the role.
Oh.
Did I ever tell you this story? It was this other girl that ended up being on the L Word afterwards. But she had the role and it wasn't working out. And so me and two other girls were flown in to Miami. And I just stayed in my hotel room for like 2 days and went over that scene. And then finally had the audition with James Cameron down in the conference room downstairs.
Was it the dance scene or was it the fight scene? Or
it was a scene that's a beautifully written monologue for Juno Skinner. She walks along the tomb, a big, huge tomb that I brought in. And I'm like, you like it? It's beautiful at this light. It's like torch light. I'm barefoot in the tomb, and I've invited him back to the tomb. And I'm like, see these people? They lived and loved and died. I just hope they got what they wanted, because getting what you want is the only important thing. And like I'm up in his face, like gonna go make out with him, and that
Schwarzenegger's
amazing, amazing scene. And then Tom Arnold's in his ear going, "I have one word for you, Helen, your wife, Helen." And it's an amazing scene that never was in the film, but that was the audition scene.
Oh, did they write it for an audition scene?
No, it was supposed to be in the film, and it fell in a part of the film that he needed to, tighten it up. And so he took about 20 minutes out of the film, and unfortunately, that was one of the, things that got cut. But he wrote me a really nice letter. James Cameron said, it was, my favorite scene or one of my favorite scenes, and I'm sorry that I had to cut it, but it was, it was necessary. Yeah.
When you were saying I went and did this scene from the film, I was thinking, I don't remember that scene.
Yeah, no,
But
it's a
that's why you
beautiful
shouldn't-
scene.
When you interview people, why you shouldn't go, oh yeah, I love that scene, because then I would be lying because I never saw
But
that
then I'd
scene.
be like, you're lying, Adam. You never
Yes.
saw it because I was in the movie. But that's
I
okay.
know,
And
but
we get past it because I know you a long
I
time.
saw the movie quite a few times, and I know you spent lots of time in sort of the museum, and I was like, I kept stretching. That movie's so good. But how does it work? You cast somebody in this role. It's a big role. It's a James Cameron film, Schwarzenegger, action, huge budget. And you realize after shooting for a couple of days, it's not working out. But I can't figure out what's not working out. Like the person's an actress. They know how to act. They've done it. They wouldn't have got this far. You wouldn't have cast them.
But something, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's brave of him to do, to make that change after having shot for, I think it was a few weeks.
A few weeks with that actress.
And that much money on the line. But, James Cameron doesn't scare easy. I mean, he was told, you're going to bring down 2 studios. I think it was like Fox and Warner Brothers or some, pulled their money together for that film. And he just kept going, and just believed in it. So, it wasn't working. And so he made the change. And thankfully, he made the right change, because I think I was pretty awesome in the movie. And I was happy to be invited to the party.
Yeah. And it was you and another actress who went.
There were like 2 other. I guess there were 3 different types. I don't know. I'm just imagining me, Middle Eastern girl, Latina. I don't know. That's the rumor that I heard, but I can't, verify it. So I don't know who the other 2 women were. Only they know.
I'm trying to remember.
During that period of time, 1992, 94, whatever it was.
Was that pre-Wayne's World or post-Wayne's World?
Right after Wayne's World.
Right after.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great 1-2 punch. Broad
my
comedy,
God.
and then this big action drama thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a magical time.
Yeah. I mean, biggest comedy of the year and biggest action film of the year, or the next year, whenever
And then
it was.
Sean Connery, Rising Sun. I don't know if it was in between or after True Lies. Rising Sun with Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery.
I remember
the
that.
legendary Sean Connery. Your friend sounds like an idiot.
Remember that video? Remember he's sitting down with 60 Minutes and he was like, "Oh, you have to hit a woman every once in a while."
Oh my gosh,
That's a
that
great
followed him.
clip.
Everyone like, oh no.
I know.
That's the one thing that follows him through his whole career.
Oh, it's the beauty. I was just watching a Pee-wee Herman doc.
I was watching it too. We were watching it last night. It was amazing. I had no idea he was so involved in the whole thing and how, yeah, it's hard.
No, well, look, if you want to really do something, and I've done some of this stuff, you're not going to just take a role in the passenger seat of this van. You're going to be driving it. If it's your character, if it's your process,
His
it's your
creations,
dream and your creation, and all you're going to be doing is talking to people going, not what I have in mind, that he wouldn't say this, I don't want to do that. Then you're going to have a lot of people at executive levels trying to talk you out of stuff that's yours, and you sort of know it on an instinctual level, but you can't really prove it. You just feel it. You kind of know it because it's your world and you've built it.
You have to be so strong. You have to be so strong as an artist. And as artists, we are, we have foundational cracks in us. That's why we do what we do for a living somehow. But to know that this is the right way, I mean, that he said Gary Panter, the guy that designed all of that Pee-wee's Playhouse, it's like they've never seen that before in children's television.
Well, what they'll do is they'll get you, the studio or whoever's cutting the checks will go, "We've contacted the 3 guys that did Soupy Sales Show, and the other guy did Wonderama, and then whatever," and then you go,
choose between these 3.
I want this drug addict over here who does punk rock album covers,
I couldn't believe that. Didn't that blow your mind? I had no idea about that history.
But that's how you get that.
Yeah.
You can't get that with standard form people. You're just going to get a standard kids playhouse looking thing. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Then the whole part, I forgot about the part. Everyone remembers the Florida theater part. Although they were unclear. I like to drill down on the details. He was gay and he liked gay erotica, but probably more in a kitschy way than a sexual way.
I didn't get to this part of the documentary yet.
Sorry.
So, no, that's okay. I know this. I know the story.
Part 2.
Yeah. No, I'm in the middle of part 2 right now.
Oh, we haven't got. You're right on the edge of the porn.
I'm right at where. So Tim Burton. I didn't realize Tim Burton directed the first film. Holy cow!
I know, it's
and
perfect.
then he directed the second one, and it failed miserably.
No, he didn't direct the second one.
Oh yes, Randall Kleiser. Sorry, Randall Kleiser.
You have a good memory for
Randall
names.
Kleiser. No, because I know Randall. I love him. He's got a beautiful house on the North Shore of Hawaii. That I'm like, I wish I could have Hawaii.
It's not Hawaii.
I'm dumbing it down for you white people here.
So
you Alaskans. Oh no.
Haven't heard back from August
he'll
yet.
tell you.
The King of Alaska is ringing a bell. And maybe it's just
King of Alaska. There's a song there. We should
he-
write a song.
He had you as Don Kodiak. Or Don Hodiak or something. He had a Don Ho
Reference.
because Mike and I, it's been discussed without you in the room more than once, Dawson.
Don of
And
Kodiak.
Mike believes very firmly in the Don Hodiak. I think it's Don Hodiak. He said, well, you'll be the Don Ho of Alaska. And Don Hodiak is a perfect name because I think Kodiak, you think Bear, you think Don Ho. It's very Alaskan.
Don of Kodiak. Like Dawn of
2
Tiki.
on the nose. 2 on the nose. Don Hodiak will be your entertainment for tonight.
I just have to write a song about glaciers.
You need a glacier, maybe a float plane song. Something with a floaty plane.
I'll just do something called Hey Bear.
Hey Bear.
Hey Bear.
Don Hodiak presents Hey Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, could be a hit.
And you got to run him. Like you go, you do one of those run songs like Johnny Cash, I've Been Everywhere, Man.
Yeah.
Like you go, you got Black Bear, Brown Bear, Kodiak, you got the white bear, sorry, the
Polar bear.
koala bear. But Kodiak, you list all the other bears, right?
And they're all on a card.
And they're
you throw
all
just
okay,
pictures of the
but
dog.
not the Kodiak. But then there's the Kodiak, you know? So it's like one of those songs where you go, I've been with this woman, I've been with that one, I've been with Sheila, I've been with Stephanie, I've been with Connie, but the best is Anne-Marie. You know, I mean, you work that out, Dawson.
Yeah.
He's got your whole marketing campaign figured out.
Because there's like 13 bears that people know already that you can go and you say that they're bearable.
Sure.
But they're not the Kodiak, the mighty Kodiak.
I do feel like we're going to have a hard time writing 2 verses.
Let's put all this into ChatGPT and make a song.
Lay all the bears
You've got
out.
it all.
You lay all the bears out, and then you do, you know, you work the whole world. The seaplane and the bald eagle, salmon. You just do the whole thing. Just see if you can capture Alaska in a 3-minute song. That's
Okay,
all.
so we have all the data here. Let's plug everything that you just said into ChatGPT. It's a song. It's already done.
No.
You tell them the story, and it's written.
We're gonna try it.
No.
We're gonna try it.
Heretic.
I'm pretty sure it's Don Hodiak. That's my memory. All right, so wait, where were we?
We've lost the train of thought here.
Oh.
We've gone on a wild adventure. Pee-wee's Wild Adventure.
Being replaced after 2 weeks of shooting just feels so
It's happened to me.
demoralizing. Really?
Yeah, I
Who
was
would
on a
do
TV.
that?
I was on a TV show, and it was kind of. I have to say, it was a relief because I knew the
What
director
year?
wasn't happy with me. It was long before Wayne's World, so it's got to be like 89, 90.
So you're out here, you're an actress, you're auditioning, you're a model, you get cast. But
On a
it's-
TV show.
But it's not like you're known at this point.
No, I mean, but I'd been on General Hospital for a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
So people at home that watch daytime TV knew me.
Right.
So I was the guest star on this show, and I was the photographer on this show about models or something like that.
And it was a 1 hour?
I forget what. Yeah, 42 minutes.
Well, like a
ultimately.
drama. That wasn't a sitcom.
It might have been a sitcom. I tried. This is how I survive. I wipe all the memories of all the unpleasant things that happened to me in my life, and I forget. But I remember it was a photographer, and I was trying to act older, and I was wearing flouncy, flowy robes to make me seem more, eccentric and stuff. But I just didn't feel it. I was too young. And I did a good job to get the job. Audition was great. But on the set, next to the other models, I just looked like another model. It didn't make sense. So they pulled me to the side, and I knew what it was. I was doing the rehalsals, and
It's
I was hitting the wall.
rehearsals.
Rehearsals, and the director.
Was there an audience?
No.
Okay,
I was
so it
just the other
wasn't a
girls. We're all
sitcom.
just walking around doing our locking and Tia, this isn't working out. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't think this is right for you. And, it was our mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, no. I was like going to cry, but I was like, I felt happy that I didn't have to do it because I knew I wasn't giving them what they wanted. So it was a relief for me, ultimately. So I know what it feels like on both sides of it, replacing somebody and being replaced. It's brutal.
Yeah. I never got a role in anything, so I wouldn't know.
You created your own role.
I did create my own role
Yeah.
because I knew I don't think James Cameron's gonna cast me in anything.
I bet you could. You could have if you wanted to, but this is a smarter path, creating your own thing. I mean, you created your own kingdom,
BetterHelp. The show is sponsored by BetterHelp. A lot of stigma surrounding men's mental health. And BetterHelp like to help out with that problem. Men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, to keep it all together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the U.S. suffer from depression every year, and it often goes undiagnosed. I love therapy. It's always been a part of my life. Always talk to Dr. Drew about it, and we're big fans of BetterHelp. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists anytime. It's BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
This show was sponsored by BetterHelp. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and flexible. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Simply Safe. Well, it's important to have a safe feeling home. That's why you get a home. You want that. Security. Traditional security systems, well, they only take action after someone has already broken in, and it's too late by then. Simply Safe is setting the new standard in home security. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection can help prevent break-ins before they happen with AI-powered cameras backed by live professional monitoring agents. They monitor, your property and detect suspicious activity so it stays outside before it gets inside. Monitoring plans start affordably at around $1 a day. These guys have always supported this show. We're huge fans of them. They make a great product. I don't know what else to say. It's Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
You can get 50% off your new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Adam. Just head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this year. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
We got Kodiak's King.
Oh my gosh.
By Don Hodiak. Up in the land where the cold winds bite, where the mountains rise.
And the day stretched night.
You sing it.
There's a giant in the timber, wild and free, a shadow on the shoreline watching me. They say you ain't seen power till you've stared one down. And old Don Hodiak knows this bear run town.
'Cause Kodiak's the king of the northern wild, where the grizzlies roam and the rivers smile. From the salmon runs to the midnight skies, that bear's got the fire in his ancient eyes. Oh, man.
Eyes.
I don't know that we could have done any better than Chat GPT, man.
Wow. I'm telling you, I've heard some of the stuff that comes out here. I'm like, oh boy. I'm moving to an island. I'm growing my own food, and I'm just going to eat papayas and mangoes and be happy because our days are numbered, folks. TikTok.
Do we got a music bed we can put underneath that? I'm trying to. Now, Don Ho would have done a ukulele, but we're going to need something else.
Yeah.
All right. So you used to live in Malibu.
I used to live in Topanga, on top of the mountain in Topanga. But my kid went to Malibu, elementary, middle school, and summer high school. So all my friend group is Malibu.
Yeah. Topanga burned some, but not all.
Yeah, but I was saying outside that my text group of friends, so many of them lost their houses because they were right there, Las Flores and the beach club. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
PCH
right there. PCH. And I was watching it on TV and it just, oh my gosh, and some didn't burn till the next morning. And
did you evacuate?
Yeah, because we're in Hollywood Hills now, and we had our own fire over here. It was like the whole freaking world was on fire.
Yeah.
From far west to far east, and then Hollywood. Like, how many of those were set by people? All of them, right? Was it all arson? Was everybody gone crazy?
LA's got a weird relationship with danger and rules and things like that. If you and I went to the beach in Santa Monica and at night to start a small fire in the middle of the sand and do a little marshmallow roast, we would be arrested.
Right.
We would be arrested.
Yeah.
That would not do it all. But if you'd like to be homeless and not pay any taxes and just move up into the scrub brush of the hills and sort of camp in the hills above the 405 freeway or below the Hollywood sign or wherever you'd like, and you'd like to cook meth every night on an open fire, that will be tolerated. And then I've talked
cooking on an open fire.
Fentanyls coursing through my veins.
No, they could get arrested. Of course, they can arrest them. They're on.
Well, they could, but they don't. I'm telling you,
it's just the resources. You can't find them in the brush.
If you went to the beach in Santa Monica and lit a cigarette, it would take less than 5 minutes for somebody with a windbreaker to walk up to you and find you. Or you could sleep in the hills.
They can see you.
They know where these guys are. They don't have an appetite for it. And I'll tell you why. Okay, let me explain something. If you're illegal and your tabs are expired on your car and your car's worth $400, they won't tow you when they pull you over because they don't want your car because you don't have any money, you don't have a checking account, and they're just going to get stuck with your car and it's not worth anything and it's going to cost them money. If you're all above the board and they tow your Mercedes, then you will cut them a check to get your car back. So they have empty bags, which is the homeless and whomever, and then there's taxpayers who they can get money from. So they get real efficient in enforcing things for taxpayers, but empty bags are empty bags. They don't generate income. You know what I mean? There's no fines. There's nothing. They need money, essentially. And that's how they roll.
But they couldn't find that guy that was shooting people in Malibu. They literally couldn't find him. He was in the brush, living.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they don't look, but
yeah.
I'm saying I've talked to the Malibu Fire Department. They just go 80% of these fires are homeless people.
Oh geez.
It's all homeless people. How else could it go? You're doing drugs. Yeah. You're starting a campfire, and you're in the hills.
And the wind blows.
And the wind blows, and you pass out. Like, of course. And or just crazy people starting fires.
This is where I wish we could use drones with water in them that could go flying over 24/7 and drop some water or some of that red powder stuff and put it out immediately. That would be a good use of drones.
I agree. The problem with the water and the drones is water's so heavy.
But that dust, it would just at least stop it immediately.
Yeah, the red or the yellow or whatever it is. But are we trying to put music to that song?
No, it's going to be too difficult.
It's too difficult. We're not there
yet.
The
licensing, you have to clear it.
ChatGPT or whatever did suggest chords, so they
really?
apparently wrote a song. So I'll take it in the studio this weekend.
And take it under advisement.
Down.
We'll have it next week.
Oh, yay!
Don Hodiak, the king of Alaska.
We'll see.
You come out with your own dip and snuff.
Oh, yeah.
You got your own lager, your own whiskey.
What about a staff? A large wooden staff.
A walking stick.
Oh, that's your whole thing.
Yeah, but there's got to be like a sword hidden inside of it or something.
Well,
or a bong.
Legend has it that you fought a Kodiak off with that stick,
right,
and now it's never out of your sight.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It was given to him by his grandpappy.
That's right.
This will keep you
Who
safe
walk
forever.
the same trails.
Who walk the same
staff
trails.
is scarred up by bear claws.
Yeah. We'll put a little red on the end, like got a little blood on there. We'll work it out off the air.
The only bear claws you guys seen are in the diner.
Yeah, that's right.
Mythic.
The display case at the diner. So you knew a lot of people got cleaned out there.
Yeah.
What's the temperature over there? Are they going to rebuild? Are they frustrated? Are they anxious to get right back to it? Have they thrown in the towel? Said we're moving to Orange
these are
County?
PTA members, so they're really on top of it. We got type A personalities. They made that phone call the first day and got the Army Corps of Engineers to come and clear the land or not, and they're figuring out the insurance. So these are all PTA moms and dads that are on top of stuff, and still it was very frustrating and difficult for them. Just getting stuff cleared, making sure it wasn't toxic, and then they had homeless people living on their land and pooping on their land. And that's when they had to have, the police come in and keep the place closed. That's why PCH has been closed this whole time, because they couldn't keep it, safe from all these interlopers coming in and looting and pooping. Looting and pooping.
Looting and pooping. That could be a song for Don Hodiak. Looting and pooping.
This would be the follow-up single.
B-side.
Yeah, it'd be funny if it wasn't so heartbreaking.
So something to look up. Sorry, because I'm reminded we got into this Pee-wee Herman thing, and then we got off this Pee-wee Herman thing, which is he was gay, and also he's kitschy, and then kitschy and gay is it's its own kind of thing. And so he collected like kitschy gay erotica, like from the 50s and the 60s.
Oh.
And later on, you're going to find out that comes into play. As well.
Well, I think it was he was conflicted within himself. From the beginning, I'm like, he painted himself into a corner.
Right.
He created this children's show where he couldn't come out and be who he is. And he seemed conflicted about it, saying he could pass, which is, speak for like you can pass as a straight guy. And, he didn't have to pass as a straight guy, but his art took him to a place where you're in a children's show and it becomes forbidden to be who you are. And so it's going to, he blew a gasket and it came out,
Right, but here's the question, and they never addressed it in the doc, and it's never really been addressed. And it would, for me, if I'm trying to figure this case out, I would need this piece of information. And he's kind of, Pee-wee Herman is like John Waters, like gay and kitschy.
Very fascinating character.
So he goes back to his parents' place in Florida. He's like staying with his parents, and he goes into a porn, erotica film, theater or something, right? And then allegedly he was masturbating, he was manipulating himself in this theater. I don't know who you're going to offend in that Dade County porn theater at noon on a Wednesday, but okay.
Leave the guy alone.
And I don't know why we need to take resources like undercover cops and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But here's what
life.
they never address. He's gay. So is he in just a porn theater looking at male and female erotica, or is he in a gay porn theater?
They didn't say it in the doc.
They never say what it is, and
he probably didn't want them to talk about it. He seemed like he was very in control of even the documentarian.
Well, he's in control of the documentarian, but he's not in control of the media when he gets busted. This is everywhere all the time,
unless Dade didn't want it known that they have gay porn theaters. Dade being what Dade is.
The media went ballistic because all they would do is show a picture of him as Pee-wee Herman and then split screen into him with his mugshot. And his mugshot, he had a goatee and hair down to his shoulders and looked like a deviant. And it was a perfect A and B for the media to dine on. They went nuts with this thing.
Yeah.
So my question is can we find out? Because
what kind of theater it was?
Well, here's what I'm saying. If I'm Pee-wee Herman, because the whole thing, it's not illegal to go into the theater. It's illegal to
expose yourself.
My argument is if I'm in a theater with straight sex going on, I go, I'm gay. I was just getting in some air conditioning. Now it was hot outside. I was trying to take a load off. I'm gay. Well, why would I masturbate to this heterosexual couple having sex up here?
I think he might have been caught, not red-handed, but...
Well, they said it. But then later on, somebody informed the LAPD that he had underage, pornography at his home, and they raided his home in Hollywood.
Did they actually find anything?
No. What he had was all this old 50s kitschy erotica stuff.
What's sort of like that Betty Page, topless with the haircut and...
Yeah, Barney Page, but yeah.
Out.
Wasn't Betty. He wasn't interested in Betty. He wanted Barney.
For instance. So that South Trail Cinema.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Sarasota.
Oh, man, they got one of the best club sandwiches out there.
Adult theater. Catering. Primarily, I thought they said that they had catering. It caters primarily to Sarasota. You could have a party there and cater to Sarasota's elderly audience.
So, is it gay or is it straight, or do they have a couple of sections?
Then we'd have to go deeper and find out what was playing on the day that he was there. I'm sure somebody's got that information somewhere.
Also, this was a time when people had VHS recorders. Like, it seems weird to leave
go to
the
a theater.
House. You know what I mean?
Again, the social community, being with like-minded people that you can share the experience with, and it's less lonely in the world.
Yeah, it takes a village to beat off.
It takes a village, people. I guess. So I was curious, and then I felt sorry for him later on. I felt bad for him the whole time, but then when they raided his house and child pornography, which is about the worst thing you can ever say about anybody.
Yeah.
None of it was true.
And none of it was true. Yeah.
Right, but it doesn't matter. I kind of realized, I don't know why I was thinking about this.
It's sad. It's just sad.
You got to find the pictures of this, but there's this whole P. Diddy trial going on.
Oh,
right?
gosh.
You've been following?
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. And let's see, 1973 is
brave of these girls to come out and say that, because the ex-assistant was terrified on the stand.
Yeah. Well, everyone's terrified. By the way, there's no such thing as an assistant not going on a stand and just telling horror stories. It doesn't matter who they assisted. Yeah. It really doesn't. You could be David Spade's assistant. It could be your assistant. It's like Tia would come in, her eyes bloodshot, screaming at the top of her lungs. It's like, okay, I didn't say that. I didn't do that. I know they experience that, and then they accentuate that in everybody, every celebrities. If you talk to Tom Hanks's assistant,
the nicest man in Hollywood,
Henry Winkler's assistant, and she was a chick that was like 40 years old. She'd go, he came in screaming at me, like she threw a bottle opener across the kitchen. Like, they all have those stories. Now, I don't think half of it happened. They experience, because what it is they're your assistant. Mm-hmm. And at some point, the person comes in who you work for, and they go, did you get the tickets? My flight's at noon, and they go, oh, I didn't. And you go, I'm doing a thing. I'm booked at a thing. It's they already paid $50,000. You didn't get the, I forgot the ticket.
Of course you're going to yell.
Go get the tickets now. Go now. And then they go. Then later on, he came into the kitchen. He started screaming. He screamed at me. He threatened me.
That's not what you think is happening with P. Diddy.
I felt threatened. No.
That's not different.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Yeah. But when I was watching, and back to Pee-wee, in that story.
Why do y'all start with peas?
He firebombed Kid Cudi's car.
Yeah.
A lot of alliteration there. And I'm watching TMZ. It's like, he blew up his car. He firebombed the car. The car got firebombed, or he blew up the car. He was blowing up the car, firebombed the car.
And he got away with it.
Right. But when you show pictures of it, one part of one seat has damage to it. The car had the driver's seat bolster on the door side was partially burnt. He didn't blow up the car. Right. He didn't firebomb the car. I could get in that car and drive for the next 5 years. It was a Porsche, by the way. You give me one roll of red duct tape and some Simple Green and a rag, and I'm bringing that car right back. And I'm driving that shit.
But he tried to firebomb it. It didn't succeed.
I get it, but here's how we work. If you talk to anybody 5 years from now and you go, the P. Diddy thing, they'll go, he firebombed he blew up that guy's car.
Right.
He blew the car. He cut a hole in the roof in the soft top, in the convertible. He cut a hole and he threw a Molotov cocktail in there, or somebody did. Mm-hmm. And then it burnt part of the car a little bit.
Part of one seat.
Didn't really work. And then you could just get in the car and drive it home that day. But he blew up the car, and so P. Diddy firebombed a car, and Paul Rubin had child porn in his home. And then we're done. We're moving on as a society. Moving on, and we're done. And then you go, no, that neither one of those things really happened. And they go, sorry, that's the way I think. It's already here.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. That's why you can't get it back. And then what ends up happening is the DA wants to look like he's doing something and not wasting resources, Mm-hmm. And the DA has endless resources. So what they do is they go, look, just plead guilty to this thing and we'll let you go.
Right.
And you're like,
no,
none of it exists. Or do you want to be dragged through a child porn pedophile trial with reporters at the courthouse every day. Do you want to do that?
Wow.
Or you want to just plead guilty?
Is that what they did to Paul?
They do that with everyone. They go, just say you did this, and so we don't look like assholes.
Right,
I look like I'm doing
Make our
something.
job easier.
And it'll be a misdemeanor, and it'll be one day of headlines, and then you get 50 hours of community service, and
But
it'll go
forever
away.
your name is child predator, child pornography. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And he was just a sad guy that was doing his art and kind of had to be in denial of who he was
my thing is,
for his whole life.
Leave the earners alone. That guy created so much work.
Great art.
But think about how many people he employed. He employed so many people. Like
But you're not
one
making a
guy
parallel with
created
P. Diddy. Like, he's a big...
Oh, no, I'm talking about P. Diddy.
Oh, but-
Yeah, I mean, that guy,
I'm gonna
his
throw my
record
coffee
label,
at you.
his albums were supreme.
I have to leave now.
What if P. Diddy produced Don Hodiak?
Oh, dear
Ask
God.
Chat GPT what that would... If P. Diddy produced Don Hodiak...
Too soon.
Put that Sting song, that Police song underneath the Kodiak song. I don't know. All right. So, yeah, you got to watch the rest of it because it's interesting.
Yeah. I had to turn it off because I was too tired. I knew I had to come here today.
And also every story, or maybe it's just the ones they do the docs about, I feel like they all just have to end up sad. You know what I mean? Like they always do that thing where it's like
It's
after
to make you
the
empathize with... when they say he died like days later. That was pretty shocking, though. That he was doing this and he's talking. He looked totally healthy. It looked like there was nothing wrong with him, but he died days later. That's trippy.
Yes, I know. Look, first off, everyone always dies at the end, so maybe it is sad. And it's just like, and you don't die falling off a Pegasus that you're riding into the clouds. You get cancer, and then he was a shell of himself, and he died, and it was sad to see that
Hantavirus.
guy. That's how it goes. So that's how it goes. But he had an interesting ass life.
Yeah, I had no idea he was such an artist, and I studied with that same Gary Austin at the Groundlings. I had done like one of his sessions of improv, and I had no idea that was Paul Rubin's past. And all these, and Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was his partner on the show. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I sort of knew that, and I don't know if you got to the part where they talked to Phil Hartman.
So after he left as Captain Jack or whatever, not Captain.
There's a clip. You can find a clip of Phil Hartman. I think he was talking to Howard Stern, and Phil kind of brought up a decent point, which is like, I can paraphrase, but Phil went to SNL.
Right.
And Pee-wee went on to...
making his movies.
Yeah, but we're talking about lunch pails and dolls and merch. And, I mean, we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar empire.
It rivals Stitch merchandise.
Yeah, we're talking about an empire, right? So let's just say you're the dude... and you're at the Groundlings, and it's in the late 70s or early 80s or whatever, and that's just your buddy, and you're just kind of knocking around, and you're sitting there smoking pot, drinking coffee after taking Cynthia Seghetti's improv class, and you're just knocking it around, like we should do a live Pee-wee show, and you go, all right, I'll do Captain whoever, and then we should have a genie or something like that, and he's like going, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
you
good.
think it would be partnership,
and
like co-produced
you
by.
develop this whole thing, but nobody, everyone kind of goes, well, why don't you get a lawyer to buy? And it's like, 'cause they're artists.
Yeah.
They're high on pot. Everyone's poor. No one's even thinking about
They did a lot of drugs, apparently. And that's what
this
he was
could
saying.
turn into.
Yeah.
But at some point, it turns into something. And the person that's hammering all the checks never says to the person that co-created, essentially, the show, like, I'm going to break you off 10% for,
so
being
he never
part of
gave
this.
Phil Hartman, or who's the other guy, the third guy, the genie guy, he never gave them a part of that?
According to Phil Hartman, no.
Wow.
No reaching out. Now, I get it. It's murky a little bit, sometimes a little gray area. Like Pee-wee Herman created the character. Paul Rubens created the character. It was his idea. It was blah, blah, blah. And so I would say to Paul, I would go, well, I don't say a 50-50 split, but for those who are there,
give him 10%,
who are helping
or,
to bang some of the stuff out and develop the stuff with you, maybe a 5% or 10%, or maybe not even in perpetuity, maybe for the next 10 years
check.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Check. Yeah, just
that would have been a
something
nice thing
symbolic,
to do.
you know?
So that's why they didn't talk. I thought, yeah, that's interesting. The way he said it, I thought he was saying that Phil Hartman went to SNL, became a big star, and that's why he didn't talk to me anymore. Our relationship was over. I didn't know it was because of that financial piece.
I've found that everyone gives you their version of the story. They never really give you the. No one ever goes, Phil worked really hard on this show with me, and now he's pissed because I didn't give him anything. That's not the way anyone says anything. We have him. We have the audio.
Wow.
Okay, we have the audio.
I did a commercial with Phil Hartman's voice.
Oh, really?
One of those M&M commercials.
Oh, he did
Tia
an M&M.
Mamma Mia.
He was
Mocha chocolate.
He was the voice of the M&M.
He was the voice of the Hershey's bar that melts. And then, I don't know if it was Lovitz was the M&M, peanut M&M next to something
Makes
like that.
sense.
Yeah, so I did one of those M&M commercials back in the day. And Phil Hartman was that chocolate bar.
And you were live action you.
I was live action me.
Yeah, we don't want to waste you in an M&M. Let's play the clip, see if it says it.
Now, were you shocked when you saw that Pee-wee Herman had been arrested in a Sarasota movie theater masturbating behind, I guess he was sitting behind some people or something?
Yeah, I mean, I was...
Were you shocked?
Well, I was shocked it didn't happen in a McDonald's or something like that.
But you're a good friend of Pee-wee's, right?
Yes.
So what do you make of this? I mean, to me, this is unusual behavior. I know a lot of people have excused it, but I still have not excused this behavior. You know me, I thought Pee-wee deserved a prison sentence over this.
Yeah.
I really did. I wasn't kidding.
Yes, it's deviant behavior.
I have gone to porno theaters, and quite frankly, I would not want someone behind me making love like that, and perhaps God knows what would happen to me, to the back of my head. I don't know. I was not interested in that. So I think that really it's unusual for a big celebrity like that to do something like this. And you called him afterwards?
No, I've never discussed it with him.
Never?
No.
But you've spoken to him since the incident?
Yes.
And casually, you never say, gee, Pee-wee, it's very unusual that something like this would happen.
In truth, I've spoken with him a few times since the incident, and what happened was I did the Costas show, and Costas asked me about Paul Rubens, and it wasn't in our pre-interview, and I spoke about him, and Paul called me, and we had been estranged for really since I started Saturday Night Live.
Estranged?
Yeah, just not talking, really.
For any particular reason? You're at odds with him, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why? Because you felt you helped develop the Pee-wee Playhouse and you never received credit or money for it. Is that correct?
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You were one of the creators of that.
Yes.
And Pee-wee took that show, took it to CBS, made a lot of money off it, and you felt that, wait a second, where am I in this?
Well, all of us who created the original stage show that was an HBO special. It played at the Roxy Theater in the summer of '81. We had a contract that said that we get 3% of whatever happens with this show.
Right.
And then I went on and I co-wrote Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Paul, and I worked with him on that. A
huge movie.
Yeah. And then he decided to do the TV show, and all of us were
out.
Okay.
That's
Well,
crazy.
That's it. Well,
So they had a contract. They should have enforced it.
Yeah,
It's the the IP. It started with this, and then if it branches out, becomes a TV show, a movie, a DVD, a whatever. They should get a piece of it. Wow.
Oh my God! I just had a horrible thought.
What
if this whole Don Hodiak thing blows up? And Dawson's in there living in Anchorage, just hammering checks. He's got his whiskey line.
You get 3%.
He's got his stout.
It's Dawson territory up there. It's in the name.
I'm
you came up with the idea.
And
Who
all
came
of
up
a
with the
sudden,
idea?
I come sniffing around because things have slowed down for me financially. And Dawson's like, go pound sand.
I think
and I'm
you'll
like,
be fine.
Mike's lawyered up, bro. And you're like, are you kidding? You couldn't. I got 7,000 acres here. No one's getting near this place. You think you can drop a subpoena off over here? You can't even come close. I got my own helicopter. You won't get near me.
I got my own militia.
Guarded by bears.
Man, And then I'll be like, oh, we got that whole recording of my podcast with Tia Carrere.
We came up with the idea
and they're
right
like,
there.
Dawson destroyed that afternoon before he went home.
Don't
This
give him
podcast will
ideas.
never be released.
This podcast will self-destruct in 3 seconds.
Taking the audio.
Don Hodiak. Did Mike get back to you yet?
No.
No. Yeah, he doesn't text well. I think that's it. It doesn't matter. I did the Don Hodiak. I remember.
I think you should
remember it
draw
was.
up some paperwork right now. Not that it helped in this story. I can't believe they had a contract for 3% and he never.
It's funny.
Went
I said
after him.
5%. But yeah, 3% of
Ever comes out of this.
whatever's coming in on Pee-wee, it makes you a multimillionaire. No problemo.
Yeah. Wow.
How do you? Okay. What
And those were his friends.
goes through Pee-wee Paul's head when he wakes up and hears the news that Phil Hartman was executed by his wife?
Oh, that's right, because that was before he passed away by many years.
Does he, like? Let's just say,
Yeah.
there's a person you have acrimony with, but also that person can potentially lawyer up at any time and come after you with this contract, and then you find out, oh, him and his wife just killed him. So,
But they
they're
were
dead.
still friends, and he knows in his heart of hearts that he was his friend. They came up like I still have friends from my acting class.
He's sad, I'm sure, but is
1989.
there any relief in it?
Oh my gosh, that's dark.
It's dark.
We're talking about
We gotta go
two
dark.
dead people at this point. It's too harsh. It's too harsh.
We're talking about a lot of dead
You're
people.
you're harsh, and I'm like chill. I'm on the high of the highest weekend of my
I
life.
brought you
and
down.
I'm in my sparkly gown, and I'm all sad.
You know what?
Where's the Baileys for my coffee?
Let's talk about
Some whiskey,
let's talk about
please.
something happy.
No.
All right, this is good. I'm switching to happy mode
Oh,
because
it's okay. Yeah, I'm here for you. Whatever you want to do.
well, first off, they have to have started working on Lilo and Stitch live action 2, like 3, whatever.
They're talking about it.
They had to go immediately into it. Like, you cannot have this kind of insane success and not literally Monday morning after that weekend being started on an outline for the next one.
I'm sure somebody is somewhere, but we're still promoting the first one. This is coming up on the second weekend.
Yes.
So, I'm just telling everybody, go
All right,
see
but
it
that's
on
good.
Aloha Friday.
That's good for you. That's good. More work. And then also for you, for touring, for playing, for other roles,
I'm going to be
for
going out
everything.
singing with Daniel Ho and Uncle George Kahamoku Jr. like in this
Daniel
fall.
Ho?
Daniel Ho. That's another
Don
Ho.
Hodiak's distant cousin? Is Daniel Ho related to Don Ho?
No relation.
No relation.
And his joke is too many hoes in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bum. I'm not even going to try to be funny in this room.
In the wire, make me happy.
Sort of sounds like him.
That's all he had to do, Dawson. Right? But I could do what Don Ho does.
The
I don't even sing.
dulcet tones of Don Ho.
So Daniel, and he doesn't dare go by Dan Ho.
No. There we are. Yeah. We've been friends since we were 14. He went to the all-boys Catholic school down the street. I went to the all-girls Catholic school up the street. And
Really?
we met in the middle at Jazz Orchestra.
Any love found?
Between us? No, we've always been friends. He's just like the genius musician guy that did all the charts for the whole orchestra. And I was a chick singer. I auditioned for the role and
Really?
started singing at like the military clubs and the malls and the wherever else they took that little orchestra.
And he's precise. He's playing, he's conducting, he's arranging, and you're singing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And gigs coming up, or where should we send people if they want to find out where? to go?
I really got to keep up with my website. I'm so bad. I put stuff, fast breaking news on my Instagram at Tia Carrere and then at Tia Carrere with a check mark on the Facebook. And I have my tiacarrere.com, but I promise I will get on that and update that because we have all these dates coming up in like Salem, Oregon, and I'm going to Australia, Melbourne and Sydney coming up in June, and I have not posted any of that.
Wow, exciting!
Don't go on there. There's nothing on there. There's something on there from like, I don't know, 5 years ago because I never updated.
TiaCarrere.com. All right.
Yeah.
Tia, great to see you, my friend.
Nice
Mazel
to see
tov.
you. Thank you.
So-
Mahalo.
And mahalo. All right, we'll take a quick break. Come back to do the news right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Wow. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, you know the jingle. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need to maintain and repair your vehicle. O'Reilly's always been a fixture in my world, always been a wrencher, always gone to O'Reilly, got the stuff I need, friendly, helpful folks who work there, always help me along. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. You can shop online, or you can swing by and go by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Do it today. Or hop online. Visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Homes.com. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Maybe it's Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory. Or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
You wonder if I break, how much more of this I can take, but the proof is in my touch and the strength in both of us. I will never lose my faith, no matter where that road may take us. Always know that you're safe with me. I'm still here, I'll never go.
The 2025 Ace Awards, coming this December. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
That was Tia Carrere, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, when she was in studio. All right, you got some news?
I do. First up, CNN anchor Jake Tapper recalled how a left-wing podcaster took a patronizing tone when he shared that his 15-year-old son wants to be a cop. Here he explains.
And on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless, and we were talking about my kids, because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, you know, he's a football player and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son, oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And like, you know, that was the big laugh. And then I got dragged in the comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you fuckers are losing elections.
100%.
Yeah. Well, also, you know, when you're just your average white band young man and you don't care. But then at some point you have kids and you start paying taxes and mortgages and fees and dealing with the city and stuff like that, and you start changing the way you look at politics.
I can see that, yeah.
You have a kid and you find out your kid didn't get accepted into UCLA because he's white, you know, and then all of a sudden you go, well, whose idea was that? And it's like, well, that's your side's idea. Or your 15-year-old's getting called a racist because he wants to be a cop. Whose idea is that? Well, that's your side's idea. And you go, or you got some young girl and she's using the bathroom in her high school and the dude comes walking in. Whose idea was that? That was your side's idea. Then at a certain point you go, maybe my side has horrible ideas. Now, when you're gay and you're single and you're 25 and you live in a rent-controlled apartment in Santa Monica, you don't have any of these thoughts.
Based Tapper? Red-pilled Tapper?
Red-pilled
Suddenly.
Tapper. Yes.
Yeah.
He's also, I mean, listen. He's basically, his plea to America is either I'm the shittiest journalist in the world, or I was lying on behalf of President Biden. Those are the only two we can accept. This notion, I was looking back at it. When I went on Bill Maher's show, it's now been over 3 years. And I said, famously, not because it's famous, just because I've said it a few times, is Biden going to run for a second term? And I said, run, he can't walk. He's not running. And people thought it was a joke. Now, that was 3 years ago. I didn't come up with that thought on the way to Bill Maher's studio. I'd been talking about a year before that. So if folks can just sit around and stare at their phone and come to the conclusion that this guy is having difficulties in the faculties department, then why can't journalists come up with this notion? Why did everyone know?
Let me ask you
It's the same COVID argument. We didn't know. We didn't know? How come all the other doctors that you blackballed knew?
Yeah.
Well, how did they know? We didn't know if you could walk on the beach. You didn't? I did. Dr. Drew did. Jay Bhattacharya did. All the guys you blacklisted did. The Great Barrington Declaration doctors did. Well, how did they know? So don't give me the we didn't know. It's stupid or liar. It's textbook stupid or liar. Jake Tapper is either lying or he's insanely stupid, and I don't think he's stupid. He's lying on behalf of his team. Ugh, Jesus Christ. The idea that he tried to peddle this shit is insane. Yeah. And also, we don't need to listen to him anymore because we already know he's corrupted. There you go. Sorry, man.
No, it's fine. I appreciate that, Ace.
Yeah.
Next up, Barry Diller, the former CEO of Paramount Pictures, says Popeye with Robin Williams was the most coked up film set ever. Apparently, they never went to the set of The Hammer.
Yeah, Book of Sugar. Oh man, that Bolivian shale. We wouldn't even hit Crafty until we had a few rails of Bolivian shale.
Doing rails up.
I would argue maybe, but could it be more coked up than Showgirls?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because everything in Showgirls, I was like, everyone's got to be high on coke. You would never do this scene unless you're beaked out of your fucking brain.
It was the 90s. I think crack had taken over by that time.
Maybe the Al Pacino great Cruising. Hips or lips.
Yeah, that certainly seems like a cocaine crazy set.
Yeah, so Robin was doing a lot of coke.
Yeah, I think that we got kind of a display for the audience here.
Shelley Duvall does not look like a typical coke addict, but she weighs as much as a typical coke addict, right?
She's waif thin.
Yes, here we go.
What am I? I'm Popeye, the sailor. And I am what I am, what I am, and I am what I am, and that's all that I am, 'cause I am what I am. You got it? I think so, yeah. And I've got a lot of muscle, and I've only got one eye, and I've never hurt nobody's, and I'll never tell a lie. Top to me bottom, from the bottoms to me top. That's the way it is.
So,
the day that I drop. What am I?
was this a musical? I guess it was.
Yeah, it was a musical. It famously kind of flopped at the box office and became a cult classic, sort of. It's definitely has a cocaine influence if you look right here.
Yeah.
The clenched teeth give it away, really.
Yeah. This punching guy looks like you. All right. This is weird. I would have gone, do we need a... It's like when they did... I wish I was in the room when somebody said, we need to do Land of the Lost, the feature. I would have went... You want to take the shittiest part of my childhood, the worst piece of art that's ever been created, and just make it into a $100 million full-length feature? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Why don't we make AIDS the musical? Like, what are we doing here?
It's a strong IP. There's a lot of fans.
I know. People have heard. Let me explain. Here's how it would work. Land of the Lost. There's two groups of, I won't even say Americans. I'll say you can take the entire globe and you can break it off into two groups, and only two. There are the people who never heard of Land of the Lost, and then the people who've heard of Land of the Lost and hated it. So if those are the only two groups, people, then maybe the IP doesn't mean as much. Do you know what I'm saying? Popeye sucked. I mean,
yeah, it did. Yeah.
Harry Nilsson did the music for Popeye. Harry Nilsson did Cats in the Cradle, or is that Harry Potter? Chapin. Harry Nilsson. But did Harry Nilsson we got in the car, drove the taxi and getting stoned?
I thought he just did TV ratings.
Nilsson
did everybody's talking.
He wrote that song for
Urban Cowboy?
Midnight Cowboy, but that was Glenn
Miller.
No. Jesus. We're getting old.
Glenn Ross?
No. Glenn Campbell.
Yes.
That was a Glenn Campbell song. Who did the Taxi Stoner song? Because that's, you guys don't know, but you'll know it, Dawes. That's the greatest song of all time. Anyway,
I'm moving to Alaska to write AIDS the Musical.
Oh, man. You better destroy this tape because these are all my ideas. All right. What else you got?
What else we got? Brazilian nun goes viral for beatboxing on TV, and everyone's comparing it to Sister Act. Check it out.
Vocação, oh, vocação, oh, vocação, oh, vocação. Rapaz, que é isso? Gente, é um show de talentos aqui.
All right. I don't like folks identifying with other folks or like reaching out. Like every once in a while. I didn't even remember in high school once in a while there'd be the cool counselor. And the cool counselor, you could tell he's a cool guy because before he sat down, he'd whip the chair around backwards. The folding chair and sit on it backwards. That meant he was the cool counselor because he doesn't sit on a chair
relatable
facing the right direction. I don't know what happened to sitting on folding chairs backwards. I don't know why that was more comfortable. It was you going, I'm cool. Like I'm the cool. I'm not the uptight 3-piece suit with the pomade and the hair counselor. I'm the cool counselor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's the cool cop, there's the cool mayor, there's the cool clergy. I don't like it. I want the Pope to be the Pope. I don't want him to be the cool Pope. I don't want cool Santa Claus. I don't want cool clergy. I don't want anything. I just want that dude.
Authority figure.
Just wear the uniform. That's who you are. That's the job. Same as it was in the 50s. I don't want you relating or identifying with. I don't want you coming down and meeting them on their level. I don't like when you use the language. I don't like when older people use the young vernacular. I don't like any of it. I want old school. That's who you are.
Super skibbity.
Super skibbity. That's what I want.
That beat was an earworm. I think I've recognized it. I believe it's Milli Vanilli, Girl, You Know It's True.
It is.
I heard that song. That song came on the other day on like the 80s channel, and it was so bad.
Because I'm in love with you, girl.
Because I'm in love with you. It's you. It's not chew. I'm in love with you, girl. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, it was so bad. And it also was like, did you need somebody to do that song for you? Because I feel like any 14-year-old who was in music class at any junior high could do, I'm in love with you, girl. It's so synthesized and electricized and filtered through. It's like, why couldn't Milli Vanilli sing that?
I mean,
there was no singing.
Yeah, but the guys who really did it must have been super ugly, right? Because it was a pop hit. Why couldn't the guys who wrote the song just released it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you guys didn't get caught up in Milli Vanilli fever, though.
Well, listen, you're too young, but like CNC Music Factory, now that was a hottie. I get it. She was a model, and she looked hot.
Yeah.
And then they had some tons of fun behind
that
her.
Sister was huge.
Whoever sung it was a big gal, but the chick on camera was hot. I get what they're doing there. Milli Vanilli, I don't know why they needed to do that.
Later on, they acquiesced to the woke mob and had her out there on tour.
Oh, they did?
The big lady.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
All right. I'm in love with you, girl. I'm in love with you, girl. You know it's true. Girl. Ooh, I love you. It's just, God, the idea that my mind has been corrupted with so much fucking horrible art.
But in the 80s, you didn't like say, oh, this is all right song and leave
I
it
was
on?
living, you got to find out what year. That must have been.
84?
No.
6.
6 or 8.
All right.
It was later. It was like 88 even.
Early 90s.
88, yeah. I was living in North Hollywood with my girlfriend, 1-bedroom apartment, crazy place. It was that was the place where I had my crazy fight story in that apartment. And my girlfriend brought home the Milli Vanilli album and made me listen to it over. It was a CD.
Okay.
And we had to listen to it over and over again. It must have been 88 going into 89 or 88. Yeah.
They were active 88 to 90.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. I just knew where I was living at the time. And then that was the...
I was young. I thought it was like cool pop dance music, and it was a big scandal when they started bulldozing over their CDs.
Well, I guess my girlfriend was from England, so I don't know. Maybe she didn't know about music. I don't know, but she brought home Milli Vanilli, and I had to listen to the crap because when you're poor and somebody spends $13 for a CD,
big investment.
You're listening. Believe you me, you're listening. We didn't have anything else.
Yeah, being younger, it was like it was all around me. Like it was on the radio and was like a thing. You have no say in what you take into your head. So Milli Vanilli was a mainstay on the radio, riding around with my mom.
That was the apartment. You're gonna love this story, Mayhem.
Yeah,
I got in this huge battle in front of somebody's house.
We talking fist fight?
Yeah,
all right.
Like some years earlier. I'm trying to think. I was in that other apartment, 88, 85. Had to be at least 3 years earlier.
All right.
And I got into this big, epic battle with all these dudes in the street in front of some woman's house who accused me of hitting her. It was a long story, but the one guy, like there was the tough Mexican guy, sort of stocky Mexican guy. Then there was the black kung fu guy. And then there was like the white guy with the baseball bat that I didn't know about at the time. And then even a fourth guy. I don't remember what the fourth guy was doing. But the Mexican guy, he was hell-bent on fighting with me. I was alone. So then I told him I had stitches in my knee from getting arthroscopic surgery. And then he just goes, I'm going to break your other knee, bro. I remember that. And I was
Pretty
like,
badass
that's pretty
tack.
good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. I said, well, that's good. So then I said, all right, okay. But it's just me and you. Like your buddies, they got to stay out of this.
Yeah.
And they were, he was like, yeah, it's just me and you. I said, all right. And we went down and stood in the middle of the street. And I just kicked the shit out of this guy. And then his friend hit me with a baseball bat. And then this other friend broke a bottle over me and it turned into a whole shit show. And then I ended up fighting the black kung fu guy later on.
Final boss.
And we had a full karate match in the middle of the fucking street that went onto people's lawns and shit. And that guy was skilled, and the Mexican guy wasn't skilled. But the black karate guy kind of had hands, and legs. and that thing broke out. But then anyway, the cop showed up, and it all broke up. And then must have been 3 or 4 years later, I was standing in front of that Milli Vanilli apartment building trying to sell my pickup truck to some dude in the recycler newspaper. I was just sitting out front, like, I'll meet you out front of the building, show up at noon. And a moving van pulled up. And it was a moving van because a new family was moving into the apartment building. And out from the moving van comes a big, stocky Mexican dude. and I look at them, they're like unloading. And I'm waiting for the dude to pick my truck up. So I go, oh, hey, welcome to the building, new neighbors. And the guy's like, okay. And then at some point he walked by in his real Mexican way, he goes, I know you. And I go, oh, what do you do? Play some Pop Warner football or something like that? And he goes, oh, no, I know you. And I was like, where do you know me from? Did you grow up out here in the Valley? Did you play sports? You go to North Hollywood High? And he's like, no, we fought. and I was like, oh, you're that guy. That's
Welcome
you.
to the neighborhood.
Welcome
Here's
to
a
the
cake.
neighborhood. Now, I'm standing out there wearing flowered shorts.
Relaxing.
In a tank top with my skinny arms hanging down. But I'm like, this dude ain't never fucking with me. Because I beat his ass already, and I beat his friend's ass. And then he broke a bottle over me and hit me with a bat, and all it did was piss me off. So I go, that dude's never going to fuck with me because he thinks I'm a fucking maniac. And he never said a word. He just went
wait
right
till he talks to the HOA. You're out of here.
What HOA? Turn that Milli Vanilli down, bro. I got Jose Feliciano up here. Ugh. Yeah, then I'd stand. That's what I should do with my spare time. Stand in a driveway and wait for fucking people to pay me $1,200 for a Nissan pickup truck. That'd
I
be
thought
a
you were
whole
going to tell
weekend.
me that Kung Fu Man picked up that truck.
Kung Fu Man never got the truck. Never found out what Kung Fu Man. Terry, the guy hit me with the bat. Oh, he was found. He was found. He was found by my friend Ray. He had a bounty and he was found. So that guy got found. And then that guy turned out to be a private pilot. And I called, we tracked him down. He called my radio show.
Wow.
He didn't want to relive the part where he came up behind me with a baseball bat and went at my knee.
Ooh.
The one, remember I
He
said
hit ya?
Oh, yeah.
On the knee with
He
the
hit
bat.
Full swing.
Oh, my goodness.
But he got my good knee. And he got behind the knee.
Yeah.
And he got above the knee about 8 inches.
Nah,
so it was
minor.
really just the meaty part
Thigh.
of the thigh
Yeah.
from behind. He had to come up from behind because it came up from behind.
Damages are minor.
Nope. Zero. I mean,
Insignificant.
like a red
Yeah,
bat
little
mark.
bruise.
Red bat mark. That was all. Bottle busted on shoulder?
Yeah.
No mark.
Yeah, that makes
Shattered.
sense. Yeah.
Thrown? Shattered. Nothing. No glass in the eye. No cut on the face.
Human body's amazing.
No, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Or it can go south, you know? But
I mean, look, no stitches. Really, you got out of that scot-free. I mean, jumping like that. I mean, it sounds like you took some damage.
I got a busted up lip, and that's all I got out of this.
I've been in many fisticuffs and sort of jumping situations. Came out unscathed. You got to bless your lucky stars for that.
I learned a valuable lesson, which is telling your group of thugs with bottles and bats to stay out of it only works if that guy wins.
Exactly right. Yeah, I was going to tell you, it never ends. Like this gentleman's agreement to fight mano a mano right in the street only works out if you lose.
I thought we had an agreement, but the problem was I was beating this guy so bad that his friends
Listen, I've been in that
intervened.
situation multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah. But I ended up being fine, and he ended up moving in, and the other guy ended up being a pilot. And I don't know what happened to the brother. I think the pilot guy said he probably went to jail or something like that.
Oh, damn.
It was crazy. But, you know, look, we didn't have video games. We didn't have whatever fun you guys have. We had to kind of get out and rustle up
see that.
fun, you know? We had to find fun, or at least activities or
Yes.
challenges or something like that. But yes, 1988, my girlfriend Lindsay came back with Milli Vanilli. And
You're a carpenter still, and you're attempting to break into comedy.
I wasn't even near comedy.
Oh.
I mean, no, I was a carpenter, and I was probably
not
just
yet Groundlings, because I was watching Pee-wee documentary, and the guy
Yeah.
went to Groundlings so much I didn't realize that was such a huge part of his story.
I was at the Groundlings. In 88, I was probably about to be asked to leave the Groundlings. And it was probably a few months later where the Groundlings went, you've come to the end of the line with us.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they didn't say that. They said, you're not going from advanced into the Sunday company. You may come back in a year or a year and a half or something and take advanced again, and then maybe make it into the Sunday company, or maybe not. And then I was like, first off, when you're 27, 24, what was I, 24, when you're young and someone goes, come back in a year and a half, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
so long.
That's so long. So I knew they didn't say come back in a year and a half. They just go take advanced again and then try to do this again, and then we'll vote again, and then maybe you will or maybe you won't get into the Sunday company. But for me, I knew that meant it was going to have to wait a long time before the next class, and then they'd vote again, and who's to say I'd make it after they voted again? And I just went, I'm moving on, and I went to the Acme Theater, which had just formed, and the Acme Theater didn't exist. It was like they put an ad out. My girlfriend.
Yeah. So you're at the genesis of
this
this company, and then you guys began to make shows.
My girlfriend, the same girlfriend, the Milli Vanilli girlfriend, found an ad in the back of the drama log, just going like, "Hey, starting a troupe. You a groundling reject. Come join us." You know. So I just showed up there.
Like, make your own opportunities all the time. This is very inspiring, Ace. I got to tell you.
I built the first, then I built us a theater at some point, and then I had a place to go, and they couldn't kick me out.
I didn't understand that story. I'm glad that I finally heard it, like, firsthand. Because I heard this, but I didn't realize that, okay, there was just an ad, and so you were part of this beginning of something.
Yeah, I didn't even, like I said, my girlfriend found the ad.
Yeah.
Then just put it in the back of the drama log or the Hollywood Reporter or whatever, like forming group, call this, the guy's home number. Called Mark Sweeney up, said, we're meeting out on Thursday night or whatever. Yeah. So, I was rejected by the groundling. I went all the way through the program.
Yeah, of
I
course,
just never became a groundling. So
that seems like a political issue. Like, from what I've heard, grumblings around that place is like a strange political decision that gets made amongst the top of the fairies.
I was, I probably had 15, 16 people in my advanced class, and maybe 5 of them made the Sunday company or something. And when you didn't make it, it was pretty devastating because it was like 5 years of work.
Yeah.
And then it's all gone.
Wow.
It would be like you going all the way through the whatever Naval Academy or something, and in your 5th year, they go, you're not getting on a boat. You go back to Indiana. So I was pretty low at that point and pretty dejected. And also, I didn't have any illusions. Like, I wasn't like, I'm the best. And they know it. I'm like, well, I guess you ain't the best. You are not the best.
But you kind of bootstrapped yourself right there and kept in the game until a Hollywood career worked out for you, didn't you?
Well, evidently I did, because we're sitting in my building talking to my microphones. All right, hang out there, Mayhem, because Mark Kriegel is going to join us. He's wrote the definitive book on Mike Tyson, but done a lot of boxing, combat sports stuff, so good guy for us to talk to, and we'll do that right after this.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Slidell, Louisiana. A 66-year-old man was arrested for obscenity after police discovered him pleasuring himself at a Lowe's home improvement. The man was caught with a phone showing pornography and a jar of Vaseline inside a display model storage shed. Definitely not a Jew.
Mark Kriegel's in studio. He's got a book out. It's called The Making of Mike Tyson. It's substantial, man. It's 400 plus pages. This ain't a pamphlet,
and it ends in
man.
88.
Really?
Yeah.
So it just went up until he was incarcerated? Or
No, until the Spinks fight.
Oh, the Spinks fight. When did he get incarcerated, Knight?
92.
Oh, it was that much later?
92.
Okay. Yeah,
Spinks is June of 88.
Spinks, I mean, you haven't seen this in a while, but like Spinks in there with Tyson looked like a kitten in with a Bengal tiger. Like he had his knee brace on. He looked timid. Like you couldn't believe they're both heavyweight fighters. And Spinks was unbeaten, wasn't he?
He was unbeaten. He was a hell of a fighter. Do you know what his super menacing ring walk song was?
Girl, You Know It's You by Milli Vanilli?
No, worse.
Oh.
Worse.
Only
This
women
is
bleed.
it.
This is
it. The corniest fucking song.
Oh, Yacht Rock. He's entering to Yacht Rock.
We wonder why Tyson wasn't petrified. Yeah, he's got his like tube socks, which I thought were really cool.
He's Leon Spinks' brother. He was unbeaten.
And he was a great fighter.
He was, but I don't know if he was like a legitimate heavyweight. He wasn't a big heavyweight.
No, he was the first light heavyweight.
Right.
To win the heavyweight title. And he did it legit against Holmes, who like might be one of the two most underrated or under-talked about
Holmes
heavyweight champs.
is wildly underrated because he had that great jab. He dominated the heavyweight division for so many years. And later on, when he got in a fight, he ran over the top of a limousine in dress shoes and tried to beat a guy.
Trevor Berbick.
Trevor Berbick. And you
jumped on top of a car.
You don't see guys run across the top of limousines in dress shoes and land punches when they get back. You know, that was the greatest move of all time. The thing about Tyson, you can stop the fight. The thing is, Tyson was like a wave, and you're standing in like waist deep water, and you see this big wave forming, and your first impulse is, I got to get to the beach. But when you turn and start to get to the beach, you start getting pulled on, and next thing you know, the wave hits you in the back, and you get pummeled.
Close
right?
the distance.
All you can do is swim toward the wave and go through the wave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nobody could do it with Tyson. Everyone was so busy trying to get away from him that he would just catch up to him. The only person that ever started to be effective against him was when they would bring the fight to him.
Yeah.
Even then, it might not work, but it certainly ain't going to work trying to get back to the beach.
The first thing you needed was like not to be scared shitless.
Right.
And you need to actually believe in yourself. And like there were three guys who did it. You can tell when Tyson demolishes Spinks.
Right.
Evander is being interviewed. No one would listen to him and no one believes him, but he goes, how can he say he's the best? He hasn't fought me. Whatever the case was, Evander thought he was chosen by God, and no one to tell him otherwise.
That's why I'm jealous.
And he, like, that's it, I'm going to beat him. And he never had any doubt. The other guy, and they sparred when they were kids, was Lennox Lewis. And there's a scene in here, I spoke to Lennox, he spends like 3 or 4 days in Catskill with Customato and Tyson.
Lennox does.
Lennox in the 80s. They wanted to bring in sparring. He was already a pretty well-renowned
Canadian,
international,
Olympic,
Canadian by way of Britain. He was like he wore every flag. He was in the Olympics, I think, for Canada. He was British. He was a great fighter, and like Holmes, undermentioned and underappreciated because he's not particularly charismatic. He's not going to eat your children, so he did it. No, but the way that it works today, actually, I guess the way it works then, that not being charismatic worked at a deficit. Holmes had the additional problem following Ali, so he was screwed from the jump.
Lennox Lewis was great, and the same as Holmes, just dominate for so long.
Lennox, the first day of sparring, they're like 16, 17 years old.
They're the same age.
They're contemporaries. I don't know if they're about the same age, but it was prior to the Olympic trials in '84. So they wanted Tyson against a guy who had really high pedigree. So they bring in Lewis and his coach, and the first day Tyson just jumps on him, kicks his ass. The second day is more ambiguous. By the third day, Lennox Lewis is holding his own. And I mean, he had the ingredients. I don't know if he beats Tyson when they're both in their prime and when Tyson is still on the ascent. But, it's kind of like what you're talking about with a street fight. I know I had you. I know I kicked your ass, and you can't take that away from me. We both know what happened.
Figured out the range, probably. He figured, it's a taller fighter ranger, so he probably figured out his timing.
He figured out his timing. He also had the power to back it up.
He's 1 year older.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lennox was a great, I mean, in a way, he's like Larry Holmes. They dominated that division for 8 years or, a long run.
Sort of fencers, too, like long-range guys.
Long-range guys who just weren't great with the microphone and, for various reasons, but you couldn't argue with their results. And by the time Tyson got to Lennox Lewis, Tyson was on the way down.
No, Tyson had been on the way down for a long time.
Right.
And he did a great job of selling the fight.
Yeah. Right.
I think he anticipates every bit of craziness that we have today, but their press conference came apart, but like the hype for that starts in earnest when he's in Scotland and he does the I want to eat your kids.
Yes.
Come on,
Right.
Lennox, I'm going to eat your kids speech.
Right.
What's actually going on at that time is he's grieving over the loss of this kid he did time with.
Oh.
He did he did juvenile time with him. It was like a legendary stick-up kid in New York, a guy named Darryl Bound. But Tyson's actually in the throes of grief, and he starts, as he was wont to do, speaking in tongues.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's a year older than Tyson, but Tyson was
older than everybody at this point.
on the descent for sure. And then Holyfield was crazy because he was like, God is not going to let me get hurt or knocked out, and he's going to will me to this victory.
From the beginning, there's a scene, again, when they're both trying out for the Olympics. So this would be early '84.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Tyson wants the next game on the pool table.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to punk Evander. And he's been punking everyone the whole week.
Right.
And he tries to punk Evander. And Evander says no.
Right.
And I think, but he holds the ball or he holds the stick. He says, I'm not giving up this stick.
Right. They're at the facility.
Right. And it was like, ha. Then it became like there's that moment where, you can go. Then it became like a ha-ha.
Right.
But I think that, that sticks in your head.
Yeah.
And Evander, to me, he was not a charismatic heavyweight. In a certain way, he was like the most charismatic heavyweight Ali. And this is what made them both invincibly tough to their own detriment. I don't care what you believe in, Jesus, Moses, Allah, whatever, as long as you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And those two guys believed they were chosen by God, and that's the end of that story. Also, the three guys...
Wait, two guys. Who are the two guys?
Evander and
Ali.
Oh, Ali. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Ali.
And the three
believed that
guys to beat Tyson were all mama's boys.
Yeah. Well, Buster Douglas just lost his mom.
Right.
Right.
And he wasn't scared. Like, what are you going to do for me? I just lost my mom. I don't really give a shit.
I'd still be scared, but that was Chris Carolla. We had a different relationship than Buster had, evidently. Buster, first off, Buster really put on a clinic in that when you, if you had a young boxing student, you'd go, watch this guy. He's doubling up his jab. He's coming with the uppercut afterwards.
Yep.
He's putting combos together and doing stuff that
he had one great benefit in that fight, though.
Oh,
Mike was like, drinking, probably snorting, and
partied all night.
The whole
he didn't
week.
have a corner, right?
It wasn't. He had no corner. He didn't prepare. I mean, he was truly a great fighter, even to get in the ring, even to make that close and get up and try to stick the mouthpiece in. But he did no training for that.
He was like a 50-1 favorite or something.
42-1. But the other thing,
did he do no training?
I don't think he did it really. I think he at that point, and this is past where this particular volume goes, but.
This stops at 88.
Yeah, mercifully for me.
And for 400 pages.
Wait, where were we again? I'm sorry.
Tyson did not train in Japan.
Tyson didn't train, but you mentioned something about Buster Douglas putting on a clinic, and this is what everybody forgets. I mean, I know these guys weren't like the greatest fighters in the world, but they were American heavyweights, and they hadn't washed out, at San Diego State as a tight end or a receiver or an edge rusher or something like that. They had been in the gym since they were kids.
Well, Buster's dad was a fighter,
and they knew what to do. So the idea that all these guys that Tyson beat on the way up were tomato cans is bullshit. There were many of them, most of them, were well-schooled American heavyweights. I mean, the guys today who would all, be in the running for a title.
Yeah. Remember Bone Crusher Smith?
Yeah.
He might have been the least impressive of the lot, and also might be the single worst Tyson fight because he was a guy with a lot of power. I think he just took out Tim Witherspoon in the fight before, but scared shitless of Mike, and all he did was grab for 12 rounds.
Yeah. So there was Holyfield, and Holyfield had a crazy strategy, which will just stand in the middle and trade hooks.
Because he wasn't scared of anything.
He wasn't scared of anything, which is insane. I was at the Olympic fight where Holyfield got robbed in the light heavyweight division, which I still to this day don't really understand exactly what.
I don't think anyone does. I've been to that fight a couple times. I always forget what
I think he was fighting like an Australian guy, and they say
he was an Eastern European.
A white guy, and he hit him after the bell, they say. But it was like right at the... I mean, first of all, you're supposed to protect yourself at all times. You know what I mean? So wasn't that much after the... He was throwing a punch, and the bell rang, and the guy knocked the guy down.
The Olympics were on a great hot streak. They followed that up with the Roy Jones robbery.
Right. Yeah, it was followed by the Roy Jones robbery. And I think history will bear out.
Mayweather, I think, got screwed.
I mean, Roy Jones, Mayweather, Holyfield, they were global world conquerors. So the idea that they all got beat by some Australian guy or something when they were 18 and a half doesn't really hold water.
The Olympic Committee, though, did not want Tyson. They wanted Terrell Biggs at super heavyweight. And they wanted Tyson. They were not crazy about Tyson because they hated his trainer or mentor, Cus D'Amato. There was like some beef going back to the 50s.
Oh, really?
So they essentially made him compete at 205, and he'd been at super heavyweight the whole time. And
they made Tyson come down. Is that what you're saying?
They made Tyson come down,
right?
And he didn't like it. And there's a box off. What he tried to do, what the strategy was, what D'Amato and Kevin Rooney told Tyson is he was named an alternate. So after he loses the trials, but if you go in and you knock someone out during sparring in preparation, the guy's got to be on the bench for 60 days, 30 days.
Oh, if you get knocked out.
The strategy was go in there and hurt Terrell Biggs, and he didn't. He couldn't do it. And the Olympic Committee the Olympic guys got hip to it, and they didn't let him have. They didn't let it happen. They sent Tyson home.
But they caught wind that he was going to knock him out in sparring.
That was they were talking about it in the papers. Kevin Rooney was talking about this is our strategy. We're still going to go there and try to hurt him.
In the gym. We'll settle this in the gym. Yeah.
Did I forgot about light heavyweight 205 and super? I forgot they had super back then. Even right because they didn't really have super heavyweight in the Olympics when. George, I don't think George Foreman was a super heavyweight. I think he was just a heavyweight. I don't know if they had.
I thought he was a super. I don't know when they came.
And Tyson walked at 230, no? Or in that
no,
era?
No. Back then, maybe about 211, 212.
Oh wow.
Guys were smaller. I mean, when I first remember the physical dimensions of heavyweights changing, it started to me in earnest with Lennox Lewis. He likes to be Lennox. I always screw that up.
Oh, yeah.
Lennox. He gave me a great interview. Whatever he wants.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
he's been on this show.
Lennox and Riddick Bowe. Now you're talking about 6'5", 6'6", long arm guys, really good athletes. Yeah.
I'm going to one-up you with a Frank Bruno.
Frank was before that, and Frank was one of these real muscle-bound guys.
He was a brick shithouse, man.
He looked great, and the Brits. I know he wasn't, and he was the all-time Brit guy because the way I don't think it's like this anymore with boxing in the UK, but back then, the hating was built into the system, so they would love you if you got to a certain place. But if you had aspirations to actually like be the champ, they kind of got down on you. They thought of you as American, immodest. The guy who turned that around was, remember Nassim Hamed?
Yep.
Yeah,
He was like his sensibilities. He's doing somersaults and showboating. He was very American in the way he approached the
Showmanship.
game. But like the Brits were not down with that.
Yeah, I remember.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Frank Bruno, man, that guy looked scary.
Tyson kicked his ass.
I know.
As I think a 15-year-old. He was already a pro. There's a scene
Oh,
in there.
really?
Like, Buddy McGirt is watching. There's a bunch of pros. Buddy, I respect immensely. He's a really good trainer and a great eye.
He's a
even
fighter,
in.
too.
Yeah, Hall of Fame fighter. And he's watching this, and Tyson is like 15, 16 years old, completely having his way with Bruno, who is now, like 14-0 as a pro, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so then we knew it. Well, they got together eventually. So was George Foreman a super heavyweight? And then when did they start the super heavyweights? With Teofilo Stevenson? Was he a super heavyweight?
Whatever was super, Teofilo Stevenson was. He was the highest weight class.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm wondering. I thought they went light, heavy, heavy. I didn't know there was a
heavy, and then there was at least by 84. I know there was a heavy and a whatever. There was
I'm
a heavy
curious,
and a super
yeah,
heavy.
I want to know when they started that. I'm curious. So Holyfield, who was the greatest.
I will report back to you, boss. All right.
Also, you brought up Big Daddy. I'm trying to.
He was extraordinarily talented.
Oh,
Bo.
Riddick
the way
Bowe.
He shot an uppercut.
Rick Bowe.
He just
Bowe
liked
was
to
a great
eat, man.
boxer. These guys. I mean,
same neighborhood as Tyson, by the way.
Oh, really?
Same
Brownsville. So you got a lot of that. His growing up, the pigeon story, the famous stuff. I guess you document that.
I covered Brownsville. I mean, I got into sports writing by accident, but I was covering cops in courts, basically. I spent, I covered a fair amount of homicides in Brownsville, East New York, like late 80s. It was nuts. But I spent about a year covering one case in particular in Brownsville. And at that time, I knew the neighborhood pretty well. And as a neighborhood for bad guys, has outstanding pedigree. There was the original like Murder Inc. crews were all from Brownsville and East New York. And I mean, one of the things when I look back on I was a young reporter, and looking back on it now, what you say it's reflexive. Oh, it's a ghetto. To me now, like ghetto seems woefully inadequate. It was a dystopia. I mean, it was like a fucking science fiction movie with the block after block of abandoned buildings, rubble-strewn lots, and then in the middle of this, in Brownsville.
Where is Brownsville?
All the way out in Brooklyn, and the genius city planners or whatever they were decide to put the greatest concentration of housing projects, like boom, right in the middle of Brownsville. So it's like a bombed out city, and then something large and like Soviet rise from it. You know, it's profoundly depressing.
I'm from LA, and we had good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods, but we didn't have sort of moonscape, bombed out, destruction, hollowed out, abandoned neighborhoods. We just had shitty neighborhoods, but someone was in that shop working on a car or something.
Right,
You
there
could
was
hear
something up on the
music coming
block.
from it.
No,
But I'd never seen just abandoned buildings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he comes from.
I never really got his parents and where they were and how long they lived, and did they ever see any success? Was there ever, did they reunite? I'm looking at pulling up pictures.
That's Brownsville.
Right.
Right. Around the time Tyson gets I think that the parents, I don't want to sound like, Freud here, but I think that the parents are the two most consequential people in the whole story.
Which is?
Yeah. I mean, look, almost any fighter, there's going to be, you don't become a fighter because you're necessarily a happy, well-adjusted person, right? So there's some dysfunction in there, and the question is, how does that follow you into the ring? At some point, my experience is, more likely than not, whatever's fucked up in your past is going to make you a fighter or break you on the way. But so with Tyson, first the dad was like a street guy / preacher, so very charismatic. But the important Tyson remark to me, Tyson says, there's a question: is your dad like the livery cab driver? Or is he the guy who's like kind of like half a pimp? And Tyson's line is, I wanted so bad for my dad to be the pimp, the gangster figure. And especially in a neighborhood like Brownsville, where you're standing on the street as a tough guy was paramount. He really wanted that. The dad leaves the mom, and something breaks inside of her.
What year? How old's Tyson when Dad leaves?
Tyson's born June of '66, maybe '68, '67. What I did find is Tyson has a half brother. Really interesting, like wonderful guy. Became a teacher. Grew up in Charlotte. Was part of the first like integrated football team for a year. Gets a scholarship to Purdue. Realizes like, what am I doing here, man? And he becomes like one of these kids at the end of the '60s. He's going to go find himself. Winds up does all sorts of jobs. Winds up as a teacher. And a lot of what I got on the dad side is from this guy, Jimmy Kirkpatrick.
The half brother. Who's the son of the dad.
Right. And
who's how much younger?
Oh, he's born. He's like senior in high school when Tyson's born.
Oh, so he's from before.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, I thought he was after.
But I'm trying to get a picture of the father in this, and he remembers the father, Curly Kirkpatrick, Tyson's father, being a great athlete. Like even when he visited him when he lived in Brooklyn, could turn on a baseball, knock it out of the park, compact, and Tyson's half brother, Jimmy Kirkpatrick. I think at one point he led the nation in kickoff returns.
Wow. So super athletic dad.
Yeah, but also bright too. And what he remembers is going to visit mom and his stepmother in Brooklyn, and they were on the outs, and she had started drinking. And it's pretty clear
That's Tyson's mom.
Correct. It's pretty clear from Tyson's account that, the drinking gets heavier. She had been a prison guard in downtown Manhattan. I remember the women's house of detention there. It was another like medieval fortress. Interestingly enough, she would have been there probably when they brought like Tupac's mom in. So what Tyson writes in his autobiography, at the time I was born, my mom was a prison guard there. That would have put around the time that Tupac's mom was incarcerated there too.
Wait, was incarcerated there or worked there? Oh, she was incarcerated there because she was like
she's a revolutionary.
Right,
but
right.
She was pregnant. Right, she was pregnant.
Wow.
But the thing with Tyson, again, I don't mean to sound like Freud. Tyson wants his dad at some level to be like the street guy. To me, that leaves him open to Don King. Don King is like the street guy writ large. It's almost like, Luke, I'm your father. Like,
right.
What, you're going to go with this old white guy, like this stiff son of a bitch? Or are you going to go with me? Well, I'm going to go with you. And Don, certainly in this volume, is the smartest guy in the story. Whether you like him or not, he's by far the smartest. As far as the mom is concerned, like it's profoundly sad to me. Tyson spends a good part of his life, a great part of his young life, trying to get her to respect him, admire him, acknowledge him. By then, it's like he's already been locked up too many times. She thinks of him as a failure, and no matter what he says, hey, Mom, I'm going to be champ. She's like, yeah, there's always someone else. He can never get that love, so much so that I found a woman who treated him as a shrink later on, like on the cusp of his 40s. And this seems pretty consistent with me the whole way through. He says to her, she's explaining, I have to go somewhere. I can't really treat you regularly anymore. Okay. But, and Tyson's saying, I think though, I understand that, but I think what I really need now is, would you be my mom?
Wow. He's in his 40s now.
He's about late 30s, early 40s, it's early 2000s. And that's pretty consistent. Like my argument with Tyson is that he goes for Robin Givens, not despite the fact. Like he loved Robin Givens. She was like fine to him. She hit some sort of note that, you always, whatever, that's the girl I want. Not smart, but that's the one I want. But he goes for her, to me, not despite the idea that she comes with a powerful, overbearing mother, but at some level because of it.
Yeah, she lived with them, I think.
Oh, she ran the whole damn show. She's a really formidable woman.
I can't believe we're all humans sometimes. Okay, just a quick real estate question. What's Brownsville like now? Because, all these neighborhoods got gentrified, super expensive, places you wouldn't have gone to after the streetlights come off are multi-million dollars. It's still Brownsville.
It's still Brownsville.
Still Brownsville.
It's still Brownsville.
So when does Tyson's mom die and when does Tyson's dad die? Because my ultimate question for everyone is, was your parents around long enough to see you, whatever?
No.
Tyson had success at 17, 18, so they didn't have to hang on that long to see him.
She dies.
Was he champ at 19 or something?
No, 20.
20.
She dies, I think it's November of, I believe it's the fall of 82, I believe.
So he's like 18.
He's won like a couple of junior Olympic titles, but she's been checked out.
Right.
And when she passes, it's cancer, and it's fucking brutal. He goes into a deep depression and leaves where he had been staying upstate with Customato and just kind of gives himself to the street for a while until he has kind of like a guidance counselor. She tracks him down and gets him back up. She deserves a great deal of credit because she goes to Brooklyn, she finds him and convinces him, you better get your ass back up there.
Really?
Yeah.
And when does his dad die?
His dad dies, I believe it's right before he goes to jail, around 91, 92.
So he got to see the championship years.
Yes, he did, but they were never particularly close.
Did he try to re-enter his life?
He did it without forcing his way in. There's a...
and did the half-brother try to run him down?
No.
He never...
No, and I think that...
To this day?
No, but they do have a relationship. They did find each other. As a matter of fact, I had a couple phone calls with Tyson for the book. And this didn't work out. This is not the book I planned. It was supposed to be a very slim, elegant kind of essay about writing and fighting, and Tyson didn't turn out like that. But I'm on the phone with Tyson, and I said, listen, I spoke to your half-brother, but he doesn't know if he really wants to go on the record. He goes, really? He goes, get him on the phone. He was testing me. Right. Get him on the phone right now. Like, see if you really got my brother's number. Get him on the phone. I said, hey, Jimmy, I'm here with Mike. He says, if you talk to me, it's okay to... He'll tell you if it's okay to talk to me. He goes, yeah, it is. So, but then it's like, hey, love you, brother. Love you. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tyson's an interesting soul. And I've interviewed him a few times, spoke to him a little bit. He's interesting, highs and lows.
Right.
Like, like a Frank Sinatra song, but no one's ever actually lived that way. But he's lived.
Nobody.
You're not going to find, I was poor and downtrodden, and then I was rich. But I don't have the kind of chasm. I wasn't incarcerated, and I wasn't king of the world. The highs and the lows. I don't, it's kind of a challenge. Like who more so, than, you might have to. You might have to go back to some Russian czar or something, or got incarcerated and taken over or something.
Also, he's famous in a way, in like a very particular American way. He's famous in a way that can kill you. Like it can kill Elvis, it would kill Marilyn Monroe, or Tupac, or Michael Jackson. He's in like that kind of fame is a state of crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. So his dad sees the success, but doesn't really try to seize on it.
Yeah.
And the mom just kind of misses it and wasn't by too much, when the mom went.
He was 82. He was still really in his formative years.
She went
fighter.
in 82.
It wasn't. He wasn't.
He was like
he wasn't
16.
seen as a lock.
Yeah. We didn't know.
He was still something of a novelty because Cuss was so paranoid. He wanted to keep it a little bit on the down low. He'd won a couple of junior Olympic titles, and kids were calling him like, I think that's Sonny Liston's son.
Right.
And what the interesting thing is that Cuss D'Amato had this elaborate. It's more than a theory. It's almost like a theology about fear and bullies, and it's really beautiful. You have to stand up to the bully, and it was D'Amato who gives Ali the advice of how to deal with Foreman when everyone thinks like Ali's going to his death. Right.
Well,
you got to go up and punch him in the mouth. But the interesting thing is that he raises Tyson to be the most feared guy there is. So Patterson would always stood up to the bully. He's raising a version of Sonny Liston, which was against type. And he made sure that the other fighters on the amateur circuit were scared shitless of him.
Yeah, well, the thing, by the way, I don't know if you guys have access to computer back there, but the Olympics started the super heavyweight in what year was the question. That I feel like's on a computer somewhere. We could find that at some point.
I'm sorry, I just looked up George Foreman. He was not a super heavyweight. Let me find out what that is.
So they didn't have it in 68.
Right. I just want to know when they started it. But you can also put that on the screen. All right. So, because George Foreman demolished Joe, right? Joe Frazier. He demolished him. He knocked him down 6 times. He walked through him. He demolished him. So the idea that Joe Frazier hurt Ali, gave him a real hard time, more than he wanted, and could have won the fight, whatever. The idea that then the guy who destroyed that guy was going to fight the guy
like
who couldn't beat the guy.
But you're always mystified when it doesn't work out.
Styles make fights, bud.
I get it, but when you saw those two fights, you go, well, it's a simple math. That guy's going to kill that guy.
Do you remember who Holyfield fought before Tyson, the first?
Yeah, I'm gonna come up with it. Give me a second. Tyrell Biggs, 84, was the first heavyweight. Super heavyweight. Yeah, no, I don't go Tyrell. I'm gonna go with James the Beast Mugabe. No, he was a middleweight. He was a middleweight. All right. Hold on. Shit.
Right.
He was a light heavyweight.
Correct.
But I can't think of his damn name.
It was Bobby Ches.
Bobby Ches, yeah.
But the point is that the fight is so bad, and Evander looks like such horseshit against Bobby Ches. Then King turns around, Don King turns around, and finally makes Tyson Holyfield. Like the last time I think anyone had seen Tyson, he hits Bruce Seldon's hair, and Seldon faints.
Right.
So all the geniuses like me are writing like, oh my God, this is legalized murder. Look what Don King has done.
Right.
This is a mismatch. This is terrible. And of course, you see what happened in the fight. By the way, the Frazier-Foreman fight, and this is typical and why he was the best, Don King goes there in the limousine with the Frazier entourage and leaves with the Foreman entourage. And the famous line, it's in the book, is, hey, I came with the champ and I left with the champ.
Did Don King, how dishonest was Don King? I mean, he stomped a man to death in St. Louis.
That doesn't make you dishonest.
I know. I call it proactive.
Yeah.
Someone owed me $40.
That was his second body, though.
That was the second body.
The first was a guy, one of his bookmaking spots. It was ruled self-defense.
But Don killed 2 people.
That we know of.
That we know of, right.
That we know of. There's a couple shots in here of Don I'll find for you. But the second one was bad because the guy was like, Don's a big guy, man. Don's 6'3", 6'4", and the guy he killed, the guy he stomped, was tubercular, weighed like $1.25. Owed him money, and Don was like, he was a runner for Don. But Don, a couple things in here. And I really mean that, like Luke, I am your father. He's like Darth Vader in this thing. He's so smart, and he's so resourceful, and he's so fucking tough. So
we talking about Don or we talking about Mike?
Don,
yeah.
And I think that made him, in the long run, at some juncture in his life, irresistible.
Well, I mean,
Mike.
he's a street guy he stomped a guy to death. But then he picks his hair out and waves an American flag and goes, only in America.
But, like HBO really needed him. The guy who ran HBO at the time was Seth Abraham. And they would sit down and read and go over these books like, long definitive biographies of American presidents and Frederick Douglass and Einstein, whatever it was. But he always knew Don's really bright guy. But, when he gets he's 24 years old when he decides he doesn't want to pay the mob boss tribute. All the other bookmakers gladly paying this guy tribute because the guy's scary. He says, nah, fuck it. The guy's name was Shondor Burns. Don, at 24, decides, I'm not paying. Gets firebombed.
Is this in St. Louis?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Gets firebombed. Fuck it. Calls the cops. I'll testify against him. Shotgunned. I'm testifying against him. He was fearless. He and pretty much indestructible. And the way that Seth Abraham described it, whatever you were thinking, like if you saw 2 paces ahead, Don was already 4 or 5 paces ahead.
Did he rip all these guys off?
He ripped a lot of them off.
Did he rip Tyson off?
If you believe Tyson's lawsuit, which I think that there's an awful lot of merit to, yeah, but for hundreds of millions of dollars. The other thing with Tyson, and I haven't gone through this part of the case file with Tyson King is, there's more boxes than can fit on this table.
Yeah.
Same for his bankruptcy. But Don always gave Tyson what he wanted when he wanted. So one of the problems I think that Tyson had going back to D'Amato is D'Amato's in a race against time to produce the greatest and youngest heavyweight ever. I mean, he knows he's gonna go out of the picture.
He dies before
85, November of 85.
Before he becomes champ.
Yeah.
Right before.
Yeah, about a year. A year. But one of the things, because there's this race against time, one of the words Tyson never hears is no. You get thrown out of school, okay, we'll get you a tutor. Right. We'll get you a pigeon coop. We'll get you a Cadillac Seville. There's something to be said for that, but I'm not sure it necessarily helped him every which way, not hearing no.
So wait, Don King, let me get this straight. No, I get it.
That's custom.
Yeah, of course.
But I think
Don didn't tell him no either.
Yeah, but what was his strategy to dole out the money as Tyson wanted it?
Whatever Tyson needed, it was done.
Oh, I see. But he didn't get to control his own finances there, therefore he got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, what Don had done with other guys on the way up was unconscionable. With Tyson, he understood he had something very public and very special. But he was working on getting Tyson far longer than anyone knew. There's a scene, Tim Witherspoon remembers being in Ohio before anyone had heard of Tyson, around the time of the Olympics or going into those Olympic trials.
Did he have a terrible Tim?
Terrible Tim Witherspoon, yeah.
What about terrible Terry Norris? We can't have two terribles.
Maybe
and
he
also,
wasn't.
is terrible me? I don't know if
He was
that's a compliment.
Philadelphia
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It really doesn't matter as long as it's alliterative.
I know you're right.
But he remembers King addressing all the heavyweights in his stable. Say, you all better watch out. This young boy Tyson, and they were like, who? Tyson. So he had his sights set on Tyson early on, and he understood as much as anybody what kind of business Tyson could do. I mean, on one hand, Tyson did for HBO what they needed him to do for HBO, what Tony Soprano would do like a decade later.
Right.
He's like, you're going to give us the male demographic from what is it, like 18 to 49, whatever that is. Boom, Tyson delivers that. And when Tyson fought, the HBO subscription rate would go through the roof.
Yeah.
And there's always been this like incredible economic need for Tyson. Don understood in a way that even the HBO execs with the most foresight couldn't, that he was worth more than that. And he was angling for a way for him to get, $30 million a fight, pay-per-view fights, when he was still doing, essentially just dates against whatever the next up contender was on HBO. Don saw the whole picture before anyone else.
Don's alive still.
Promoting a fight in Florida.
Promoting a fight in
Something
Florida.
like that.
I've not seen him pop up in a minute.
You didn't see him endorse Trump and all that?
I saw it.
I missed that Don King. Well, it sounds like you like Don King.
I think he's an interesting character.
He is an interesting character.
There's nuance because,
I tell you what, I really like Tyson. And that's an odd. I didn't want to do this book because I probably wrote more bad shit about Tyson than anybody.
Right.
Just the way my career squared up. My first stop in sports, and I covered him as a police reporter.
Right.
Running around town.
Right.
And I had no real connection to him like that. But then when I started, that's the picture from the book. He's in a police station in Cleveland. That's the one on the left.
Don King, young Don King.
He's in, I think his early 20s there.
And what's his connection? Like, how did he get into boxing, really? Was he just a training? I don't understand.
No.
Yeah.
No, he goes away for this manslaughter.
Oh.
And on a Friday afternoon, like the judge...
For the stomping one?
Yeah, the stomping one. On a Friday afternoon, the judge doesn't commute the sentence, but he lowers it. So it's basically like it was a pretty big sentence.
Skid bait now.
Right, but then it's like a 1 year. It's a 1 year mandatory after that. So he winds up doing I think 3. But the judge, in typical King thing, the judge issues his ruling on a Friday afternoon, then goes on vacation, which is a pretty consistent pattern with King. King always had the lawyers. He was always wired into
the system.
The political apparatus. He's a really astute psychologist. The way he used to, as a young bookmaker, he devised a system to beat the numbers. You'd have to read the book, but he had someone lay off bets by calling around. So he really had there was a mathematical genius to him, but also he knew what was in your head. Like he would wait till the last minute to go into the bar to pay out and have a big sack of cash and make a big display out of paying out. What, you thought I wasn't going to be here? And he goes, tell everyone Don King pays. And all of a sudden you see this guy at the bar buying drinks for everybody and mounds of cash. It was great advertising for Don King.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, God, it's such a...
You got to respect him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's maybe a bad guy, but you have to respect him.
But it's one of the reasons why I love covering boxing. Like covering sports after a while, it was kind of a pain in the ass. Like I don't need to hear whatever Jeff Torborg in the post Mets game. But I don't need or how many Jets coaches. But boxing's like organized crime meets show business.
Yeah.
So it's hard to fuck that up.
I've been trying to get a hold of Ika Beabucci. That'll be our next book. All right, let me give it a plug. Baddest Man, The Making of Mike Tyson.
There you go.
The book, and this is the kind of book you want to read. The author did not want to write it. He was forced. No, you start going down a path, and then you realize, oh, this is what it's becoming.
The guy, I'm laid up with a hamstring. I shear my hamstring, like, I don't know how, and I'm, over-medicated. And I owed the publisher money on another book. And he says, well, would you consider Tyson? I'm like, as high as I was, I'm like, no way. A friend of mine says, you can't give money back. So I started thinking of ways to finagle it.
Yeah.
I was like, could this be like maybe an essay type book? Like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And like, by 23, I had lunch with the editor. I said, that little beautiful book you wanted, I have 80,000 words, and he's still 16 years old. He says, can you make it 2 volumes? And that's why you
It's so
wind
substantial.
up with this monstrosity.
Congratulations, man.
You can get wherever you find finer books. Mark's always good.
Or even unfiner books.
Or unfiner books. Always great talking to you. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City coming up on the 13th and the 14th of June. Wise Guys doing a couple of shows there. I want to thank Tia Carrere for coming in here, Mark Kriegel for coming in, and Mayhem as well. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla saying mahalo.